Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my top 5 reasons to root VG2X. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so reason number 1 of why you should root your G2X. Well, that's gonna be instability. Well, if you're still running a stock ROM, there's a good chance that if you were an early adopter of G2X, you had it when it was running Android 2.2, aka Froyo, frozen yogurt. And what do I mean by instability? Well, when G2X first came out, you would run into some issues such as random reboots, just terrible, imagine having a text message or, being in a conversation with someone over the phone and, well, it just suddenly hangs up. Or at least you thought it hung up. Nope, it was rebooting. That's terrible, isn't it? Hello? Yeah, this is Simon. Who's this? Alright. And what's up? Hello? Hello? It's rebooting again. I'm so going to get fired. And another thing. Ever experience a black screen? No matter how hard you press the button, this device doesn't turn on. Yep, that's a black screen. The phone is still on, still connected to the network, but it seems like the hardware doesn't respond at all. That is instability. And if you root, you're going to be able to flash a custom kernel and ROM, and that basically gets rid of those issues, or at least stable ROMs should. Alright, number 2. Reason number 2, let's see. Bloatware. This is not a big issue on the G2X, seeing as, one, it's pretty stock on the G2X, and, well, that's why it's pretty great of a device, but once it's rooted, it's even better. The reason to get rid of bloatware is because bloatware takes up your RAM, and you don't want to have your RAM taken up because that's your random access memory, and that allows you to multitask better on your G2X as well as any other phone. And it's the Achilles heel of the G2X. You only have 512 megabytes of RAM. Normally on the G2X you have 59 megabytes of RAM left over, but that's if you're heavily using it. Right now I have the same idea, but I'm using way many more apps in the background. If you notice here, I'm using about 16 apps in the background, and I used to have to uninstall Facebook because that was a major RAM hog, hogging up 20 megabytes of RAM in the background, doing nothing at all. Seriously. And Words with Friends too, 40 megabytes of RAM. Stuff like that. Oh, and a shout out to Capture over there. Awesome app, guys. You should try it out. It's like Instagram for Android. Alright, reason number 3. That's gonna be having the latest version of Android. Excuse the horrible drawing. But this is always a benefit, having the latest version of Android. If you're a techie at least, which is why it's not number 1. In my honest opinion, this would be number 1 for me if I was a major techie, but this is for everyone. So, in my opinion, latest version of Android should be number 3. And this is, especially great for when you're leaping into a major update, such as Frozen Yogurt was, Android 2.2 from 2.1, because it provided a speed boost. And, most likely, you'll have the latest version of Android from XDA faster than you will have from your official OEM, your manufacturer. Alright, so I'll just show you. I don't have Ice Cream Sandwich, which is actually the latest version. However, that's not really ready on any phone aside from the Galaxy Nexus and Nexus S, because a lot of phones are waiting on drivers and whatnot. And, it's still pretty early in the development process, but regardless, you're going to be getting that version earlier than you will from your manufacturer, like I said. And, no, I'm running Android 2.3.7, which is the latest version aside from Ice Cream Sandwich, which is pretty great. Alright, reason number 4. Alright, let's see. That's going to be customization. With custom ROMs and kernels, there's no end to your customization. Maybe you want a really fast kernel, or a really or a really nice looking ROM. You have the ability to customize very various aspects more than you can with the stock version of Android, when you just switch, launchers to change how it looks. Instead, you can do things in CyanogenMod based ROMs, such as, well, you have a T-Mobile theme chooser, which isn't necessarily exclusive to T-Mobile phones. It's just phrased as such, I remember. At least I think so. So an example is, you saw my current theme, that black with purple bars and whatnot up there, called the label theme. And right now I switched to an ICS theme, but there we go. And now it looks, almost indifferentiable from Ice Cream Sandwich, which is pretty cool, if I say so myself. And, well, you get the idea. Customization. You could change a lot of aspects, and not to mention, it also themes your stock vanilla apps, which is also pretty awesome, if I say so myself. Alright, step number 5, or not steps, reason number 5. That's going to be more stuff. What do I mean by more stuff? Well, it's kind of like customization and whatnot. You're going to have the ability to overclock your device, or underclock it, if you don't need all that juice. You have the ability to take screenshots if your device was never able to. If you have a G2X, though, it had the screenshot ability default, but you'll still be able to do screenshots regardless. What else is there? What else is there? Let me see. You'll be able to back up your current apps. When you flash a new ROM, you'll be able to replace some stock apps or uninstall bloatware, like I said, as well as, gain much better access to your Android system. Like some phones don't have wireless tethering enabled by default. This is the G2X, though. It's, it has Wi-Fi tethering default because it's a stock Android phone. But some phones don't, and, it requires a carrier billing plan to have Wi-Fi hotspot. However, that's not the case with ROMs. You have the ability to just do it. And I think that's pretty awesome in itself. Alright, I hope you guys liked my top 5 reasons video, and top 5 reasons to rate the G2X. And if you liked this video, feel free to subscribe, like, give me a thumbs up, and any suggestions would be much obliged. Alright, thanks for watching.